Right now, the biggest and most powerful vehicle that Mazda has ever built.
For years, Mazda engineers have been working quietly behind the scenes. No big announcements, no media hype. But now, they have made a big bang that has shaken the foundations of the entire EV market. When every big company was going electric, Mazda chose a completely different path, quietly, but with full preparation. Now, they have unveiled their most powerful and advanced engine ever, a hybrid system that not only challenges technology, but forces the entire EV industry to think again. This is no small upgrade. This is a tough challenge from Mazda, that the future of automobiles is not just electric, but can also be a smart, balanced, and extremely powerful hybrid. Their new technology not only has amazing mileage and performance, but it also exemplifies the balance that consumers all over the world are now looking for, the perfect combination of durability and power. So the question is, can this new hybrid engine change the direction of the EV future? Before moving ahead, do subscribe to the channel so that such inside information on technology reaches you first. Mazda. From a small garage to global innovation, Mazda's CEO recently made a bold announcement. The company's upcoming engine is set to disrupt the entire electric vehicle industry. The announcement has sent the automotive world into a tizzy, signaling an unprecedented development on the horizon. Before we get into the details, let's take a look at how Mazda got here. If Mazda is a respected name in the automobile industry today, it is not just because of the beauty or performance of its cars. It is a story of hard work, constant innovation, and determination. Mazda started with a very different purpose. It was founded in 1920, about 100 years ago, in Hiroshima, Japan, under the name Toyo Cork Kogyo Company Limited. Initially, this company did not manufacture automobiles, but machine tools and cork. But within a few years, the company took the bold decision to enter the automobile industry. In 1931, Mazda built its first vehicle, a small three-wheeled truck called the Mazda Go. It was a light transport vehicle that met the needs of the people in Japan's economic situation at that time. Mazda's goal at that time was not just to make money, but to give society something that could make their everyday life easier. When the atomic bomb fell on Hiroshima during World War II, the Mazda factory was destroyed, along with the entire city. But despite this tragedy, Mazda did not give up. The employees came together to rebuild the factory, and the company began to stand on its feet again. In the 1950s, Mazda began manufacturing small passenger vehicles, and this is where their real journey began. A journey in which Mazda created its own identity by combining technology, racing, and design. In 1960, Mazda launched the Mazda R360, a small and economical car that instantly won the hearts of Japanese customers. This car became so popular that it firmly established Mazda in the automobile industry. In 1967, Mazda took another big step. They gifted the world the rotary engine. While other companies were working on conventional engines, Mazda invested in a technology that was extremely compact but powerful. They used this engine in a car called Mazda Cosmo Sport, which became a topic of discussion around the world. Although the rotary engine had its challenges, in terms of fuel efficiency and emissions, Mazda never gave up. They always believed in research and development, and gave their engineers full freedom to invent new technologies. In 1990, Mazda made another history, when their rotary engine car, Mazda 787B, won the Le Mans 24-hour race. That too as the first, and so far only Japanese car. This victory was not just of speed, it was a victory of engineering. In the 1990s and 2000s, Mazda rebranded itself with the tagline Zoom Zoom, where the focus was on the driving experience not just speed. They introduced Skyactive technology, which made cars more fuel-efficient and improved performance. Skyactive gave Mazda a different identity, a company that cares about the environment without compromising on performance. And now, as the world races towards all-electric vehicles, Mazda is once again thinking differently. The company's CEO recently announced that Mazda's next engine will shake up the EV market. This statement is not just a claim, but a reflection of Mazda's entire journey, a company that doesn't follow trends, but sets new trends. Mazda's philosophy has always been that every car is not just a machine, it is an experience. They make cars that connect with the driver. Maybe that's why Mazda has never been the biggest car company, but it's always been known as the most wholehearted. Today, Mazda is on the verge of making history again, this time with a new hybrid or next-generation engine. And if their history teaches us anything, it's that when Mazda comes up with something new, it forces the entire industry to rethink. Before we understand Mazda's revolutionary engine, we should first understand how engine technology has come to where it is today. It's a journey in which humans have constantly tried to make something better, faster, and more efficient. Something that not only performs better, but also causes less harm to the environment. Back to the beginning, steam engines first appeared in the 18th century. They were heavy, slow to run, and consumed a lot of energy. Steam was produced by boiling water, which drove a piston or turbine. But their biggest drawback was that they took a long time to start and were not at all suitable for small vehicles. As needs grew, innovations began. In the mid-19th century, engines began to be made that produced power by burning fuel directly. These were called internal combustion engines. Scientists like Etienne Lenoir and Nicolaus Otto worked on this and created engines that were small, light, and started very quickly. These engines replaced steam and shaped the future of the automobile. As cars became more common in the 20th century, concerns about fuel consumption and pollution grew. When the oil crisis hit in the 1970s, fuel efficiency became a top priority. Along with this, regulations were also made to protect the environment by reducing the smoke from vehicles. New technologies came to control gases like carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxides, such as catalytic converters, electronic fuel injection, and variable valve timing. Meanwhile, in the 1960s, Mazda thought of doing something different. They introduced a technology called the rotary engine. It was different from conventional piston engines. It had a triangular rotor that rotated inside a special chamber and produced power. Its design was very compact, and there was very little vibration. It was used in Mazda's sports cars and was highly praised for its smoothness. Although the rotary engine looked very advanced, it had some problems. It was less fuel efficient, smoked more. Also, its apex seals wore out quickly, shortening its life. This forced Mazda to abandon it and return to conventional engines. As time went on and the need to control pollution increased, car companies started working on small but powerful engines. After 2000, even big cars began to use small turbocharged engines. In these engines, more air is sent into the combustion chamber through a turbocharger, which produces more power even with less fuel. This reduced the weight of the cars, improved mileage, and also reduced pollution. But this technology was not perfect. There were some reliability problems due to turbo lag, i.e., a little delay in getting up to speed, and high temperatures. Nevertheless, these engines became very popular, especially in countries with very strict pollution laws. The late 1990s saw a big change in the world of cars. This was the time when hybrid cars were introduced. These cars had an electric motor attached to the petrol engine so that they could travel longer distances with less fuel and also cause less harm to the environment. In 1997, Toyota launched the Prius, which for the first time brought the option of a hybrid car to a large number of people. This car showed people that they could save fuel, help the environment, and still drive a good car. Then, in the early 21st century, the era of electric cars began. A company named Tesla was formed in 2003, and its goal was to take the world towards clean energy. In 2008, Tesla launched its first car called the Roadster, and after this, cars like the Model S proved that electric vehicles can be not only economical, but also fast, stylish, and powerful. Seeing the success of Tesla, other big companies also woke up and started focusing on EV technology. This brought a new turn in the auto industry. But when other companies were moving towards electric and hybrid technology, Mazda chose a different path. They thought about how the internal combustion engine in petrol and diesel engines could be made even better. With this thought, Mazda started working on Skyactive technology. The purpose of this technology was more power in less fuel, less pollution, and better driving experience. The most special part of this technology was the Skyactive X engine. This was an engine that combined the qualities of both petrol and diesel together. A special method was used in it, which is called spark-controlled compression ignition. This means that this engine burns well even with very less fuel, just like a diesel engine, but at the same time it also gives speed and response like a petrol engine. The result was more mileage, less pollution, and fun performance. However, even this great technology came with its own challenges. The Skyactiv X engine was very advanced, but its cost and complexity made it impractical for every car. This begs the big question: are today's cars really as good as we think? We are now living in an era where electric vehicles are being praised for being smoke-free and reducing our carbon footprint. But not all that glitters is gold. The metals that go into making these car batteries, like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, are mined on a massive scale. This mining often destroys the environment and, in some countries, is linked to the exploitation of children and workers. What's more, the process of making these batteries requires a lot of electricity and water. This means that even if the car doesn't cause any pollution while running, the damage that goes into making it is huge. This also reduces the environmental benefit for which people buy electric vehicles. The adoption of EVs is facing several challenges, the biggest of which is the lack of infrastructure. Even today, charging stations are not available in many areas, especially in small towns and remote villages. As for charging, not only is there a shortage of charging points, but the power required to run EVs is also not sufficient everywhere. As the number of electric vehicles increases, the demand for electricity will also increase rapidly. In such a situation, it will be necessary to make our power grid more robust, and this requires both money and time. So it can be said that the path to complete EV is not so easy. Also, although EVs are often promoted as low-maintenance vehicles, in reality it is not so. Their batteries weaken over time, and when it is time to replace them, the cost is very high. Also, the special technology in EVs requires a trained mechanic to repair them, and not every service center has such experts. On top of that, the initial cost of these vehicles is still beyond the budget of many people. Hybrid vehicles, which combine a petrol or diesel engine with an electric motor, offer a way to find a balance. But combining two technologies is not easy. Running two different systems together requires more effort, more cost, and more maintenance. Hybrid batteries don't wear out as quickly, but when they do, replacing them can be costly. This makes some people think twice before buying them. On the other hand, car companies are increasingly using turbocharged engines. These are small engines, but they have a lot of power because they force a lot of air into the combustion chamber. This improves mileage and also keeps the car light. But these engines run at very high temperatures and pressures, which makes them break down over time. Many car owners have reported that they require more repairs and can be a burden on the pocket. That's why people wonder, will they last long? For all these reasons, Mazda chose a different path. When every company was moving towards hybrid and EV, Mazda decided to make its traditional petrol engine even better. They believed that the internal combustion engine still has a lot of power left. It just needs to be used in the right way. This thinking gave birth to the Skyactive X engine. This engine works on a unique technology, which combines the features of both petrol and diesel engines. It runs on a technology called spark-controlled compression ignition. That is, it produces good power even without burning too much fuel. Its aim was more mileage, less pollution, and good performance. But when this engine was driven in real life, some of its limitations also came to the fore. Yes, it gave better mileage than before, but there was not as big a change as expected. Also, the structure of this engine was very complex, due to which it was not easy to manufacture and repair it. Some drivers also felt that this engine needed to be run at a higher RPM to produce the right amount of power. That is, the vehicle needed to be revved faster. This compromised the smoothness and driving pleasure of the vehicle. As if that weren't enough challenges, the question now arises whether this technology can be used in all cars easily. Integrating it into different models and delivering the performance that each customer needs has not been easy for Mazda engineers. They realized that while they had made a great effort with the Skyactiv X engine, it still wasn't the perfect solution for every need. Technology is changing so fast that people are demanding different kinds of cars. It was clear to Mazda that it was time for another new beginning, and they set out on another big innovation. An engine that, in the words of their CEO, will shake up the entire EV market. But wait a little longer. We'll talk about that engine very soon. Meanwhile, many car companies have been working to create an engine that could completely replace conventional technology. The past few years have seen some very interesting and innovative ideas emerge. Each one promises to transform the future of cars. But none of these technologies became a solution that the whole world would adopt. Each one had some problem or the other. Some were costly, some had mechanical issues, and some were difficult to use in the real world. One of these options is the hydrogen combustion engine. Big companies like Toyota and BMW have been working on this technology for a long time. The idea behind this is to run a system like a petrol engine on hydrogen, so that we do not need expensive and heavy things like batteries. This idea sounds great on paper. The same old engine design, the same driving experience, and only water vapor coming out. That means no pollution. But the reality is not so simple. Hydrogen is very difficult to store. To make it usable, it has to be kept under tremendous pressure of up to 700 bar. For this, very strong and heavy tanks have to be installed, which increases both the weight and cost of the vehicle. And the biggest problem, there are very few hydrogen filling stations. Petrol pumps are available in every nook and corner, but hydrogen stations are few and far between, and they are also very expensive to build. And that's not all. Even though hydrogen engines don't emit CO2, they still emit dangerous gases like nitrogen oxides, 8NOx, which can deteriorate air quality and increase problems like smog. This is why, even after years of hard work and research, this technology is still not seen in ordinary vehicles. Now let's talk about another new idea, which came from a small but very innovative company, Koenigsegg. This company is always known for doing something new, and the technology they created is free valve. This technology has replaced a very old element of the engine. the camshaft. In a conventional engine, the camshaft is a rotating rod that opens and closes the engine valve at a set time, so that air and fuel can get in and smoke can be expelled. But in free valve, this work is done by an electro-hydraulic system, which allows each valve to be controlled individually. This means that the engine can change itself every second, according to the driver's driving style. This also increases power, improves mileage, and also reduces smoke. What's more, free valve technology can also work on different fuels, without changing the engine much. This means that this is a system that can run on petrol, diesel, or even biofuel in the same vehicle. But the biggest problem is complexity. Free valve technology is expensive and technically difficult to manufacture. So far, it has only been used in high-performance supercars, not in regular cars. The system requires a lot of sensors, actuators, and hydraulic parts to work, which makes the car expensive and difficult to service. While the auto industry prioritizes low-cost and reliable technology, free valve has not lived up to that expectation, at least so far. Nissan, on the other hand, took a different approach. They introduced the VC turbo engine, or variable compression turbo. This engine is different from conventional engines because the compression ratio can be changed on the go. This means the car can travel longer distances with less fuel and also provide more power when needed. The idea was that this engine would provide both great mileage and tremendous performance, without the drawbacks of a turbo. But it actually didn't. This technology involves a special system that changes the movement of the pistons, making the engine structure even more complex. More parts means more chances for failure. Some people complained that the engine's reliability suffers over time, especially over long periods of time. Nissan tried hard to improve the technology, but its complexity prevented it from being very successful in the mass market. The engine works fine, but it hasn't reached the level Nissan hoped for. Now let's talk about Porsche. They decided to focus on the fuel, not the technology, and introduced e-fuel. This is a synthetic fuel that burns like conventional petrol but does less harm to the environment. It is made by mixing carbon dioxide and hydrogen taken from the air. The biggest advantage is that old petrol engines can run on this fuel without any modifications, and no new engine or infrastructure is needed. But once again, reality changes the picture. Currently, e-fuel is very expensive to make. It costs a lot of electricity to produce it. Until we can produce energy from renewable sources cheaply and at scale, it will be difficult to put e-fuel into the cars of ordinary people. As of today, it is about 10 times more expensive than petrol, making it impractical for everyday use right now. Yes, this technology could prove to be very useful in the future, but it still has a long way to go. And that brings us back to the question we started with. Despite so many efforts, no single technology has yet been able to provide a solution that solves all the problems. Whether it is hydrogen combustion engines, free valve, VC turbo, or e-fuel, each technology has tried to innovate, but none of them has proved to be the final answer. Each one required some kind of compromise. Somewhere the cost was high, somewhere the technology was too complex, and somewhere the infrastructure was not complete. That's why Mazda always felt that none of these paths truly represented the future. And maybe that's why they decided to once again choose a new path in their own way. For years, Mazda engineers have been quietly building something that doesn't just update old engines, but changes the very idea of what an internal combustion engine can do. They wondered, could an engine be made that combines the fuel efficiency of a diesel, the acceleration of a petrol engine, and the environmental benefits of a hybrid? And if it does, Can it compete with the growing dominance of electric vehicles? Not by opposing, but by showing a new path? Mazda says, yes, we have done it. Now it's time to understand what they did and how. Mazda's next big offering is the Skyactive Z engine, a next-generation four-cylinder engine, which will come to market in 2027. It is being designed to replace the Skyactive Z and Skyactive X engines. Its purpose is to deliver great performance and mileage while also complying with strict regulations like LEV4 in the US, Euro 7 in Europe. The company claims that the Skyactive Z is very close to ultimate combustion. That is, the engine will be one of the most efficient combustion technologies ever built. The engine will not only run on petrol, but will also work with mild hybrid, full hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and even battery electric vehicle systems. Mazda has made it clear that they are not going all in on the EV race, but are bringing in new ideas in their own way. It is also being said from within the company that when someone asks Mazda's CEO what will make this new engine special, his answer is straight. Our new hybrid engine will shake up the entire EV market. And he didn't just say it. He has decided that Mazda has to reach the top, and that too with the best engines they have made. So the question is, can this dream become a reality? Mazda's answer is yes, and they will make it happen. Their focus is on hybrid technology to solve all the problems people see in EVs. Range anxiety or lack of charging stations. The Skyactive Z engine will first be seen in Mazda's next-generation CX-5 SUV, which will feature a new hybrid system developed in-house. Mazda's goal is to create vehicles that meet environmental regulations without sacrificing driving pleasure. Most importantly, Mazda says these new vehicles will not be too expensive. While other companies are investing heavily in expensive electric models, Mazda wants to show with the Skyactiv Z that petrol engines and hybrid technology can still go hand in hand, and at a better price. Mazda doesn't want customers to stick to just one option. They believe that in the age of technology, the real power is in choice. Let the customer decide what he wants. So, think about it. Would you like to buy a Mazda next time? One that is hybrid, smart, and not heavy on the pocket? Comment your answer below. And don't forget to see where the real change begins.